Meeting on July 17th, 2023 is on file with the City Clerk's Office. Item F, approval of Treasurer's Report of Claims in the amount of $393,524.05. Item G, approval of Boswell Report of Claims in the amount of $50,588.31. Item H, approval of pay request number 4 to Myers Construction Incorporated in the amount of $457,096.50 for the water main replacement project as part of the 2021 Water SRF project as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item I, approval of pay request number 1 to Lamwell Plumbing in the amount of $106,760.23 for the Gage County Industrial Park Sanitary Sewer Bypass Project, Phase 3, 2023, as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item J, approval of pay request number 7 in the amount of $126,424.41 to 3FI Incorporated for the June 2022 hailstorm as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item K, approval of change order number 1, increase the amount of $2,182.67 and the final pay request in the amount of $51,118.95 to Stay Built Construction for the armor coating various locations 2023 project as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Approval of pay request number 8 in the amount of $100,050.09 to 3FI for the June 2022 hailstorm. Item M, resolution number 7098, granting permission for the Beatrice Humane Society to hold a doggy swim evening fundraiser at the Big Blue Water Park on August 15, 2023. Resolution resolution number 7099, executing the agreement between the city and William C. Schwarzkopf and Michelle L. Schwarzkopf, allowing William C. Schwarzkopf, Michelle L. Schwarzkopf, and Daniel Hagemeyer and Roy Hagemeyer to harvest crops located on the following described real estate: west half of the southwest quarter of Section 21, Township 4, North, Range 6, east of the 6th PM, Gage County, Nebraska, pursuant to their farm lease. Item O, resolution number 7100, adopting revised job description for various department heads and superintendents for the city of Beatrice. And P, resolution number 7101, entering into the statement of work agreement between the city and Civic Plus LLC to renew the agreement whereby Civic Plus will continue to implement and provide software and electronic communications services for the city's communication system. Any council member want anything pulled off of the consent agenda? Seeing none, Mr. McLean.
I move the items listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Gentlemen, your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. There are no public hearings, so we'll move into resolutions. Resolution number 7102, executing the letter agreement for professional services between the City of Beatrice, Nebraska, and Olsson Incorporated to undertake the designing of the recommended repairs to and rehabilitation of lift station number 6, as recommended by the Board of Public Works.
I move the resolution number 7102 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Lift station number 6 is our lift station for our sanitary sewer system. It's located by the old Storecraft site. It serves a large portion of the northern section of our community, clear up out to BSDC, flows through that lift station. It's probably one of the largest, I think it's the 3rd largest lift station that we have. We had Olson's do a preliminary design of that location last year, recommended some approvals or some recommendation of some improvements that need to be made at that site. Now what we're looking to do is retain Olson's to design the actual improvements that need to be made. A lot of them have to do with controls, that kind of stuff, so we can continue to monitor that lift station. The contract is for $69,400.
$69,000?
$69,400.
Discussion. From the public. Seeing none, Mr. McLean. Oops, sorry. Your vote, please. That passes 7-0. Okay. Resolution number 7103, entering into an agreement with Akuma to set forth the terms and conditions of the grant awarded from Nebraska Department of Economic Development's Site and Building Development Fund to construct a 52,000 square foot industrial building located in 2101 Ridgeview Drive, Beatrice, Nebraska.
I move that resolution number 7103 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Kuma applied for or was offered the ability to apply for the Site and Building Development Fund from the state of Nebraska. This grant has to run through the city of Beatrice, so technically we applied for it. We signed a contract with the state of Nebraska here a couple of weeks ago. Now we have a similar contract with Akuma. It just basically mirrors the contract we have with the state. They're eligible for up to $250,000 as a grant. So as they build their building, submit invoices, we submit those to the state. State will send us $250,000. We'll pass that on to Akuma. Other than that, we've done this particular grant, I think, 2 other times and been very successful with it. It's been similar.
Is this a total new building that they'll be moving into?
Yes, they're
What are
building,
they gonna do with the old one?
they're going to stay in it, so they're
They're
expanding.
gonna have 2 buildings?
Correct.
How many jobs are we looking at?
It depends. They're still working on that. Originally, this was going to be more of a warehouse space. They're now looking at changing it to more of a manufacturing space. And so they're still working on exactly what jobs they'll add and that kind of stuff.
The thing I think I would add is, very appreciative to Akuma. They've been a very good industry for us. They continue to believe in Beatrice, and this investment is very nice to see.
Yep.
Any comments from the public? If not, your vote, please. That passes 7-0. Okay, resolution number 7104, executing the First Amendment to the LB 840 loan agreement between the city and LMRRLR LLC and Rob Ruskamp and Leanne M. Ruskamp.
I move the resolution number 7104 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So the next 2 resolutions go together. The Ruskamps, if you recall, borrowed some money from the city, I think back in 2015. They had a CDBG loan with us. They had an LB 840 loan with us. We recently extended those, I think in 2020, somewhere there, 2019, we extended those terms. The CDBG loan has about $2,100 remaining, should be paid off this month. That'll be taken care of. That's why you do not see that one on here for amendment. The LB 840 loan has about $32,000, should be paid off in September of next year. So again, we're just about a year left. They're looking to do some refinancing of their personal house, which is collateral to us on our loans. And so what you have here before you is first an amendment to the LB 840 loan agreement. They have some additional land that they're going to put up as collateral for the city. And then you also have a subordination agreement, which is next, which is the city agreeing that will go to a second position behind the bank as part of their refinance package.
How much land worth?
Again, you have about $30,000. The house itself would be pretty close if you had enough on there for your debt to equity ratio that you're looking for. So the land certainly certifies and puts the city in a good position collateral wise.
We have first on the land?
We'll have a second on the land. We'll have a second on the house.
From the public, any discussion? Your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. Resolution number 7105, executing a subordination agreement with LMRRLR. That- Right,
That's one we just passed.
right.
Okay.
Now we're moving on to 7105. right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Resolution 7105, executing a subordination agreement with LMRRLR LLC and Rob L. Ruskamp, Leanne M. Ruskamp, and Nebraska Bank to subordinate the security interest of the city to the superior indebtedness of Nebraska Bank.
I move the resolution number 7105 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Any further discussion needed?
I'm going to vote no on this. I just don't like taking a second to anyone on banks or anything, so do as you want, but I just don't like that second position.
Okay.
I would add that a second position can also force the first ones to default and go into whatever they need to do to collect.
That's correct. Anything from the public? If not, your vote, please. And that passes 6-1. Okay, item E, resolution number 7106, approving and adopting the master plan developed by Olsson Incorporated of the Court Street corridor and the proposed relocation of Highway 136.
I move that resolution number 7106 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Okay, just as some point of clarification on this particular, in a minute.
Okay.
Tonight, we're talking about the adoption of a master plan. The master plan is a conceptual idea of what it will look like for a redevelopment of the downtown of Beatrice. It is not the design. So design work hasn't even started, and there will be a process involved in order before that design process even starts. We know that we need to work with direct affected businesses during design stage. Perfect example, we know at Second and Court, we have the rail there. We know we need to work directly with the owners on those through the design process. We do know that there's 2 roundabouts as part of the concept. We know that changes will be made to the plan. We also know that throughout the process, there will be several points where public will be asked for input. Again, we know we need to work with directly with involvement with people that this will affect. I will tell you this process will take place somewhere between, I don't know, after we found out today, it could be anywhere from 3 to 10 years in the process. We know that we want to make sure we do this right, because if we don't do it right, you only get one shot at construction. We know it's change. Again, everybody has their own opinion. I think the opinions that we have are worth listening to. I think the thing that we all are trying to do is what's the best for Beatrice, not today, but 20 years or 30 years from now. With that, Mr. Tobias, do you have anything else to add?
I do not.
Okay.
Because we are talking concept, I would like to have that resolution number 7106, add the word concept to behind the word master plan. So it actually states that this is a concept.
I'll second that.
Okay.
So you have a motion to amend the resolution. Is that correct? That's what you're stating, by putting
Yes.
the word concept?
Behind where every place it states master plan, I want it to say master plan concept. So that way there is no discrepancies. You know.
Okay.
And then, Rich, you seconded that?
I second it.
So
And that
then-
would carry down through that resolution, that everywhere where it says master plan, that it would say concept, correct?
That's what I'm trying to clarify. I'm
Yes.
trying to find out what you
Yes.
guys are looking for here, so.
Yes.
okay. So then the motion on the floor would be that, and that's the only thing you can discuss at this point.
Correct. So we open that up for discussion to add the word concept behind the master plan. I mean, any discussion?
Well, the reason I seconded that is I got quite a few phone calls. Some of them are sitting out there in the audience, and how this got through as being the final plan, as rock solid last plan that we were voting to do it. I don't know how that got out there, Facebook or whatever that social media crap is that they do, because I don't do that. But the people that I had talked to, I told them that this was just an idea that someone has brought. Now, we're going to take this, what this thing is going to do is take this to an engineer. And they're going to go up and like Bob said, we're going to work with, especially you guys on the west part of that. There's a lot of them that quite frankly, wanted to know how they were going to get in and out of their businesses. And We're going to have engineers come down and talk to you folks, figure it out. It may take a roundabout. It may not be a roundabout. We don't know. But we also have to do this to find out what the final cost of this thing is, whether we can actually afford to do it or not, whether we can apply for grants, whether we may have to bond it or how. But a lot of people want to get the ball rolling. And this is the way we're doing it. It's just by getting the ball rolling. And we get that final concept, the final plan, we might find out we can't do it for a while because we don't have any money to do it. But I just want folks to know that this was just the idea. This is just us taking it to the engineers to see and work with the folks to see how this would lay out when it's all said and done. And it's going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight, like Bob said. Probably going to take 3 to 10 years. So that's why I seconded it.
Any discussion? If that helps clarify, that's fine.
I appreciate it. Yes, I think it does. I think a lot of people have said they're just confused by it, so.
Okay,
Sure doesn't hurt anything, that's for sure.
all right. Your vote, please.
And just for the audience, we're voting on the motion to add the word concept into the resolution, not voting on approving the conceptual master plan, just so everybody's following along.
Thank me and Dwayne for that, guys.
Okay, and that passes 7-0. Okay, we'll first start with the city council for discussion, and then we'll move to the public once the city council gets done. After the public, then the city council will have a few more words. So, gentlemen,
I'll start, Bob.
all right.
Unlike Rich, I do get on Facebook quite a bit. It's part of my daily job. I got to be on Facebook when I look at stuff. And nothing against our great media members, because they only have so much time on a radio station or so much print in a newspaper to put an article or say a story. And people will take 5 seconds out of a story and blow it up to whatever they want so that they can be a keyboard warrior and create confusion amongst everybody. So I'm glad that we put the concept in there so everybody understands. Rich, you did a great job explaining it so that everybody understands we're not spending $20 million tomorrow to put roundabouts in.
We're not spending $20 million.
Well, I'm just, what's on there?
Becky, 'cause I'll be gone.
But I do want to add something that I do read, and I do a lot of research. And when Terry brought this up, I did a lot of research. I looked it all up. And everybody's concerned about roundabouts, whether you like them or you don't. January 10th, 2022, Federal Highway Administration. 44% reduction in all crashes when you have a roundabout. 72% reduction in crashes that result in serious injury and or death. I don't know how they can be unsafe when your Federal Highway Transportation Authority is telling you these stats. I just want to put that out there, and hopefully that makes the paper and the radio so that people will read it. The only concern you have is safety most of the time in roundabouts, according to the Federal Highway Transportation Authority, is when you have more than 4 inputs or exits at one roundabout. I've been to communities all up and down the East Coast. There are several that have 6, 7, and 8, and I will tell you, I would be confused there too, and I was. And I wasn't driving a car or a truck. I was in a deuce and a half or a 5-ton military vehicle trying to navigate that. I just, before people get too carried away, do some research. Really, I encourage you. I'm not going to say Bob's word that he doesn't like me to say tonight, but inform yourself on how this works, and don't listen to the people who think they can take 5 seconds of a story and turn it into a total abomination. That's all I got to say. I'm done.
Sorry?
Oh, wait, we're gonna have people talking, they're gonna hit us again? Okay.
Anything up here?
I'll wait till afterwards, Jim.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, as we move into public opinion, I'm glad some people are here. We're going to try to keep the comments down to 5 minutes per person, And if we have a topic that does get repetitive, we'll see if I'll try to open up to other people can bring other concepts up. To start off from the public, I know that Senator Dorn is here today, and I want to start off with him, and then we will move on to everybody else that would like to have a comment. Senator, thank you. Normal thing, right? You need to state your name and address.
Okay. Myron Dorn, Senator for District 30, which is all of Gage County and part of Lancaster County. I live up by Adams on 15717 East Aspen Road of Adams, Nebraska. Been on the county board, known a lot of you guys for a long time. Terry or Tobias or somebody talked about the meeting we had today. We did have a meeting. My office arranged that so we could have a meeting with some of us with the Department of Roads again. We did have a meeting probably, I don't know, Tobias, you remember a year and a half ago? That was what I call the preliminary meeting, and it was where the concept from 2014 and other things were talked about, and we talked about going forward, and that's, I think, where a lot of the conversations have taken off from that type of meeting and how you maybe want to proceed. Today, we had a very, very good meeting, a very honest meeting with the Department of Roads. We had 7 people from the Department of Roads, including the interim director and the assistant director and those people there. They basically talked about funding, timeline. In other words, it's not going to be a 1-year project. We know that. And how long it takes will vary a lot on funds, on federal funds, other funding that the city might do, all of those types of things and how they play into this project or how they become a part of this project. They also talked about, I think one of the most important things was today, and that's your comment of concept. Once this board or this city council, if they approve this and they send a letter up to the Department of Roads, now the design part of this will start coming into play. They will be working with people from the city and coming up with a design. I think Tobias even talked today about a cost of $500,000 to $750,000 for the design of this. So when they talk about all the people getting excited and everything, we're not even at the design of how this might look or where it's going to end up being. But they were very excited. They definitely are supportive of this project. They believe that the economic activity, the economic value, the future growth of the city of Beatrice, this will be a good main part of that. There's a long time, 3, 5, maybe 10 years, talked about even that many of you may not even be on the council. Bob even mentioned if he'd be mayor when this is done. If we start today, how long is it going to take? I probably won't be a state senator anymore 3 years from now. But also at the same time, the longer you decide to put this off or not do this, the farther down the road that becomes. I think it's critically important that you as a board make that decision whether to proceed or not. And then that starts, I call it, all of the things start becoming in place and all of the things that might need to get done or could need to get done. And then they talked about federal funds today and how some of those have timelines out to 26, and will this project be far enough along to have some of those funds, and where will we go after that? So there's many unanswered questions, but at the same time, I think the one that really is in front of this city council tonight is, do you want to proceed with this concept? And I like to add the fact that you added the word concept again, that it now becomes a part of, yes, we as a city would like to do this. And the one thing I'll leave with, I think, Terry, you dwelled on this a little bit today, I'll leave with it. What the state of Nebraska, the Department of Road really needs is, they need support of this community. It's nice to have support of the city council, but if they don't have support of this community, and if this thing gets derailed, it will be because the support of the community is not there. So as the people of Beatrice, as they look at this project, and as they look, as you said, Bob, 5 and 10 years, 20 years out in the future, what is the future of Beatrice? Where is it going to be at? Where will be the areas that they grow? What will bring people into the community? I think those are the critical things you need to look at. And what is the future of Beatrice? That's one of the questions you're going to look at tonight. So thank you much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Myron, thank you for today, seriously. Now, we wouldn't have had 7 people there, I don't think, unless you set that damn thing up. So thank you for taking time to do that. We really appreciate it. You're good at what you do.
There were some pretty important people there today.
Yep.
That
Gave us some
gave
good,
a lot of
good
very
information.
strong comments about this project.
Yep. Yeah,
But they
thank you.
also, I felt today they really laid out, I thought they were brutally honest because they laid out the timeline of where you need to look at, and then they laid out, then we had the discussions about the funding, because it's just not there today. That's things that are going to have to be done in the future. So thank you very much. I'm excited about the project, excited that City of Beatrice is looking at this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator.
Appreciate it. Okay. Who would like to go next? Okay. And again, it's normal. State your name and address.
Be nice to her, Mr. Mayor. She's a nice lady.
Gentlemen, my name is Katie Teets. I live at 203 North LaSalle here in Beatrice. And I put some papers together. I'm very overwhelmed and nervous, and as you can imagine, I have a lot of different emotions that I'm going through with all of this going on. So I'll just start from the top. Good evening, gentlemen. I can't say I've ever been to a city council meeting, and I'm not exactly overly excited about the circumstances. I'd like to start off by introducing myself. My name is Katie, and I manage the rail here in town with my husband, Connor. And on the 19th of August, the rail will celebrate 20 years in business. We saw the plans for the roundabout proposal roughly 10 days ago, and in the plans, we will be losing direct access to 136, and landscaping will be placed in our front of our building, blocking us from passing vehicles. While we do support making downtown more pedestrian-friendly, we can't support a plan that feels so detrimental to our business. To say we feel alienated and completely unwelcome would be an understatement. Our business would not only be losing access to 136, but we would be completely blocked from view as well. And we rely on new and old customers seeing us from the highway and making their way in. It feels like whomever approved these plans has no desire for us to be a part of downtown Beatrice at all. And if that was the case, why wouldn't there be an offer to buy us out instead of cutting off our ability to make a decent living and watching us slowly fail and fall apart? Over the last 10 days, I've reached out to a few different councilmen expressing my concerns as to what losing direct access to Highway 136 would do to our business and surrounding businesses. I was met with several reminders, just like now, that the plans are purely conceptual and that roundabouts, and I quote, are the future. I was also graciously reminded that we have a north entrance to our parking lot that we lease from the city. But if you've ever used this north entrance to our parking lot, you'd understand how concerned we are about losing access to our south entrance at Highway 136. Whether these plans are conceptual or not is irrelevant. If you vote to pass these plans as they are today, not only will our livelihood and the livelihood of the businesses around us be greatly affected, the amount of significant unknowns and unnecessary inconveniences would be staggering, and here are only a few I've heard over the past 10 days from our patrons. The difficulties semis will be having using the roundabouts and how disrupted traffic will be at Harvest once semis start to get backed up at the co-op and once Market Street is a two-way. Not to mention the inconvenience it will have on those dropping off scrap at the scrapyard. How far will traffic be backed up when there's a train? A former local school bus driver expressed their concern that a school bus on a roundabout is not only difficult, but can be dangerous if the driver is not careful, and heaven forbid the sun shines in their eyes just right on the way to school in the morning. Imagine it will have on the effect it will have on the traffic leaving the races and how difficult it might be to pull a trailer around it. What about our emergency vehicles? What about how our emergency vehicles will take the roundabout? What if traffic is backed up and our emergency vehicles have to deal with that? Let's hope wherever they're heading that the need isn't immediate. Also, it seems at the 8th Street roundabout, there is no exit to 8th Street at the north. What will happen to that street? Will it just stop? The majority of people I've spoken to are not for the proposed conceptual and futuristic roundabout plans that you are voting on today. People are concerned about the building sitting empty already. There seems to be this sentiment that making downtown more pedestrian-friendly and building this roundabout will attract new people to Beatrice. We're not in an if you build it, they will come situation. This isn't Field of Dreams. My family and the families of the businesses surrounding us have dreams that we're trying to build as well, and we're frustrated and frankly scared of what the proposed plans would do to our business. That's not to say we're not open to adjusting our dreams for the sake of our city, but we'd at least like to be involved firsthand on whatever will take place literally at our front door. Financially, mentally, emotionally, and possibly legally, this has the potential to be very stressful for us, and until the businesses and community surrounding these proposed changes are more involved and genuinely considered, I ask that you vote nay today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is John Charles Fisher, 702 South 3rd Street here in Beatrice. I come to you with a little bit of experience with roundabouts. I drive a rock truck for work, 60 foot long, trailer's about 32 foot in length, so, big truck. I have traversed, I don't know if any of you know Highway 32 that goes through the Oakland area. There's a roundabout at Highway 77 and Highway 32 about 15 miles north of Fremont. Took the time to measure with Google Earth, as accurate as it can be. I know it's not exact science. That roundabout is 186 feet from curb to curb across the widest part of that roundabout. In a truck and pub, it is still tight making it through that curve, going all the way through, continuing on towards the west. Making a right-hand turn, that's not a big deal. Going completely left, I don't know if you guys know how a trailer tracks behind a long truck like that, especially when you got 3 axles underneath that trailer. That trailer doesn't follow your truck. It goes straight up through the middle. So looking at the design or looking at the width of that area, there is no way to put a roundabout in that is 186 feet in length without taking out a business over here, a business over here, taking out that trail that we just put in, within the last 10 years and redid all that area down in that area. It seems that this is a rush. I mean, I know that there's been talk about it in the past, and I know this has been going on for about a year, a little more, maybe 2 years. I don't see the need for it. Everybody keeps bringing up, trucks and the truck route and everything. Truck routes are voluntary. They are not mandatory. They are not mandatorily enforced. However, I live in that area. There's no signage for that truck route for trucks to follow. It's not a surprise that trucks get lost in downtown. There's no signs. There's one right here that says if you're going this way, turn here. I think there's a simpler solution to fixing this problem because I sat and listened to the meeting, which I want to say first off that I appreciate you guys recording these meetings and putting them on YouTube. I work 14-hour days most days. I took time off of work to actually be here so I could voice my opinions. And this gentleman from Olsson, I can't count how many times he sat here and said that pedestrians are scared of the high-speed traffic through downtown with all the trucks. If that is the case, I'd like you guys to go take a look at O Street up in Lincoln, which is US Highway 34. Doesn't seem to be a problem on Friday night with the pedestrians on a 4-lane highway at 25 mile an hour, the same speed as downtown Beatrice. I apologize for being skeptical on this plan. We were just force-fed $40 million of tax money being forked out for a school that most of us didn't agree with in the first place. We voted twice no on that school. The school board came in and said, well, sorry, you're going to pay for it anyways. Now we're paying for it with the city for $3.5 million or $4 million or whatever it was to put in a roundabout at 33rd and Lincoln and do all the street improvements over there. I mean, my property just went up $4,000 in the last couple of years, and I haven't even done any improvements. Well, I mean, I'm led to believe that that's just for tax purposes, so I can pay more money into this plan, along with everybody else. I just don't see the need for it when we could very simply solve this problem. Put a weight limit on US 136 going through downtown. Put a weight limit at, say, 26-ton licensed gross vehicle weight. Trucks over 26-ton licensed gross vehicle weight, not weighing 26 ton at the time, but a licensed weight, would therefore be illegal to travel on Court Street through downtown. Put a length limit in. Waverly has a length limit for a turn off of Highway 6 onto 141st Street into their downtown area at 51 feet. That excludes all trucks from turning on 141st and going up into their downtown area. The other thing, and I'm glad that the lady ahead of me mentioned it, because I was going to bring it up. At harvest time, I don't know how many of you guys travel in the south downtown area by the co-op at harvest time, but it is a maze getting through there. I live right down in that area. I have to deal with it all the time. Not saying that I blame the truck drivers, because I don't. I drive a truck, and they have to get to that co-op so they can get the food in so that way we can eat. They're just trying to get into the area. Well, now you're talking about shutting off 3rd Street right there at Court and putting in like a cul-de-sac there right next to the Stone Hollow Brewery. That takes off a whole street of parking for truck drivers. That's going to force them off onto 4th Street, more onto Bell Street, possibly even onto Scott Street, even though I wouldn't go on Scott Street with my pickup in the driveway or in the parking lot out here. Scott Street's a nightmare. But the next logical option is they're going to start running down 3rd Street onto the gravel, which is going to block me off from getting out of my area to go to work. And I don't know if you guys know that area, but if I get blocked off on 3rd Street and possibly even if they wrap down Perkins there, I'm blocked in. I have no way out of that area except to go through the field and go up behind the co-op, which is technically private property. So I get it that it's conceptual. I understand that this is going to be a long-term period, long-term in an aspect. But no offense, I'm looking at you guys sitting up here and some of the reactions that I'm seeing sitting back there. This is already a done deal, signed and delivered, and we're just here for a formality. So I'd like to see that change. I'm not saying not to do anything with downtown because God knows we need some sort of work in downtown. I would love to see this city grow. I'm originally from Lincoln, and I love living in this city. Okay. But we need more communication between us and the people and the projects that we are funding. So that's my 2 cents for right now. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you tonight? Good. My name is Kate Radigan. I am the owner of the Black Crow Restaurant in Beatrice, Nebraska. We've been in business for 30 years, just celebrated our 30th anniversary in June of this year. I live at 73051 60725 Avenue, Sterling, Nebraska. I want to say that, first of all, I'm not against doing something for the downtown. So I don't want you to position me as being against everything. But I am opposed to the plan as it is, okay? And it's not because I'm afraid of roundabouts, and I don't think anybody's afraid of roundabouts. I think the 2 people that have spoken before me have made some very good points, and I agree with everything that they said. There are some practical considerations. My main concerns are, what are we trying to accomplish with this, and is this plan going to do it? Because I don't think that routing any kind of car traffic off of the main street of the downtown is going to cause any kind of increase in prosperity. You said do research. Well, I have several studies here that show that the effects of routing traffic around the downtown are very deleterious for certain kinds of businesses. Service businesses, not so much. Repair businesses, no, not so much, because those are intentionally sought out. But businesses where people drive by and see them and are spontaneously motivated to go in, such as the young lady from the rail mentioned, those are severely impacted in a negative way. Now, as a person who has been in retail since I was 16 years old, I'm 67 now. I have some experience in this area, and I know how traffic counts and pedestrian friendliness impacts a business. While you may be trying to make this pedestrian friendly by reducing the traffic count, you're also reducing the number of people that are traveling down Highway 136 to and from the homestead that are going to be able to see and stop at our thrift stores, our outdoor dining area, our bars, our restaurants, the brewery, etc. So you have to think about how this is going to impact people. I like to think about positive things, and I like unicorns and fairies too, but I don't necessarily think that routing the traffic down to Market Street is going to accomplish that. My other concern is the timing of this. If this is just a concept, why are we voting on it? This is the same exact concept that was advanced in 2014. The same exact drawings. I have all the notes from that time period. And when we had 2 meetings, which I went to both of them, that were supposed to solicit the input of the community, we were asked to put our little small ideas on a little small Post-it note on the categories that they put up there that were very narrow, that we were to answer questions about how we thought. The next meeting was presenting this proposal, which had already been done 10 years ago. And that, it's not a new proposal. And so we were being asked to give our input on something that was designed 10 years ago. This is not input. This is after the fact, and this is the problem with the community that is having with the government sometimes, is a lack of trust, because this is not input. This is, we've already decided to do it. We just want to make you think that it's new or that it's not, this or that. This is not the way to do this. If you really wanted to know what the community thought, you would have done the input differently. And Olsson Associates certainly knows how to do it. But that was not good input. The other thing is, we are rerouting the whole highway down to Market Street, okay? Why don't we just use the existing one-way streets we have? Split the highway route so that the westbound traffic eases on to Ella and goes west, and the eastbound traffic eases on to Market and goes east. There'd be no roundabouts. We wouldn't have to take out businesses. I mean, not the rail anyway, which, by the way, it's been here for a long time. I can't even imagine how those people must feel. I'm very sympathetic to that. There's going to be a huge amount of business disruption. We have 3 large buildings in downtown Beatrice that have been transferred for $1 or for $0. We are already in some economic problems here. If you disrupt the downtown so that people cannot get in and out of the downtown for a year or more, you're going to have a ghost town. Well, I guess everybody can come in and buy the rest of the buildings for $1 then, and they can start over. But what about the people that have been here? I mean, these are real families. They're not trust fund babies. They're making a living downtown. Also, I think it could be done in a less grandiose fashion. This requires that you make an affirmative choice to turn into the downtown. So when you're coming from the west, let's say you're leaving the Homestead, and you want to go, you would normally go right to the downtown. You might drive past the brewery, you'd drive past my restaurant, you'd drive past the rail. You're going to have to make a decision to go downtown because it's going to route you right down to Market Street, and you have to make a choice to go around that roundabout and then turn right back into the downtown. That means you're going to lose traffic. And you know why I know you're going to lose traffic? Because everything about this plan is designed to reduce traffic. That's the point of pedestrian friendly. Now, I'm not saying that I'm opposed to slowing down the traffic, making it more beautiful downtown, putting more landscaping in, but I don't think we need to completely reroute the highway. I'm going to submit some of these things for you guys to put into the record, and I don't know if you're interested or not.
Yeah, I think that would be good. We're almost up against our time limit here.
Okay,
But I would like to answer one question
Sure.
that you had. You talked about why the vote tonight. However the vote goes, I would like to see at least a decision, whether it's yes or whether it's no, so we can move on to some other solution if that's the case, and that we don't come back and we spend, I don't know, another $50,000 like we did in 2011 and 2014 and now in 2023.
I don't disagree with
So
that.
I think what we're really trying to do is come to a conclusion tonight so that we can say, yes, we're moving forward with downtown revitalization right now, or no, we're not.
When we were at that meeting and we brought up alternative ideas about how the traffic could be rerouted without, the mains through the downtown, east and west, and 136 would be a business route, and that the highway would be split westbound on Ella, eastbound on Market. The people at Olsson Associates told me that they weren't even allowed to get input on that because they had already decided that this was going to be the plan.
And if you'd like to leave that information, we will look through it.
Okay. I don't think we should be voting on something if we aren't really saying we're voting on it. Either vote on it that it's the roundabout plan that you put out and let people look at, or don't vote on, or vote no on it. But don't say, oh, this isn't really it. This is loosey-goosey stuff, and this is not the way to communicate with the citizens.
This is a concept, and we're not going to come back and do another study and spend more money if we vote no.
You've already tried to push this idea twice, and I think that you should vote no until you have an idea that you actually run by the people. That's my opinion. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you for your input.
You're welcome.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
I am Dana Heido. I live at 208 Sherman Street. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I guess I will. In 1976, my parents bought a business and a building in downtown Beatrice and moved my brother and me here, and we were raised here. I was raised downtown. I spent all of my grade school time living downtown above their business. And then we moved to 8th and Elk, so we were basically downtown. I worked in that business growing up, and I worked there as an adult. I can easily say that for pretty much my entire life, I've lived and or worked in downtown Beatrice. I love downtown Beatrice. It's a wonderful place, but it can always improve. This concept is very scary. It's scary to me, but I'm also positive and for it. We have got to get the semi-trucks out of downtown. People are scared to open their car door. When you are downtown, you look to make sure that somebody isn't going to take off your door. I don't know how many times I've watched trucks turn onto 5th Street of all places. I do not know why they think 5th Street is a great place to turn, but they do. And then also, of course, 6th Street is a big challenge. And looking at this concept, and I will call it a concept because we all know we have a long way to go before it's final. I can honestly say I think moving the highway 1 block will be the best for downtown for the future, realizing that next year this won't be done. And at 3 years, I think, is probably not going to happen. I think we're further down the road than that. So I think we have a lot of time to get it right. And I'm trusting whoever is sitting in those seats, your seats, whether it's you or somebody else, will take the time to get it right and help people through their fears, because it will impact a lot of people. I personally do not own property downtown, but my parents have 5 buildings, all between 3rd and 4th and Court. And of course, you all know 323 Court is their big rehabilitation project right now. My brother and sister-in-law own the Mercantile Building that sits on 3rd and Court. And of course, they're going to be impacted also. I will not speak for them. I do not know where they stand, so I will not say more than just that my family has deep history in our downtown and continues to have deep history, because I also work with my mom up at Gems and Junk at 5th and Court to run that thrift store. And as a thrift store, it does give us pause, because we do know that people just going by do stop. So the idea that people will be moved off of there or given that choice is scary. But we also believe that that cars will still come through our downtown, because if that's kind of what they want to do, that they're just kind of going through and driving slowly and maybe they'll stop, that they'll continue to do that. So we are trusting the process, and we are trusting that the long term it will be positive for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rick Haraldson. I live at 1600 Oak Street, but I'm here as president of the Chamber Board. And we just never easy discussions on these things. And we trust you as you're saying here, this is a concept and we really are working through. And we agree with the stated objectives when Tobias came in, put those on there. If you're looking at retaining and attracting business, having a green spaces downtown, accessible parking, all of those are things that we need to look at. And we just want to look forward to working with you and the businesses to make sure that we're covering all the bases. So wherever that goes, we just want to make sure that we need to look at these plans. As Myron said, it takes time. And if we're not looking at these and at least evaluating it, we can't say we're supportive of the whole plan yet because we haven't seen it. And we trust when the plan comes out, we'll, as long as we have input and be able to manage that, we think we'll be able to head in the right direction. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick.
Do you want the letters or how do you want to?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Thanks, Rick.
My name is Jane Nider, and I live at 398 South 25th. And I was happy to see the plans on Facebook and have a little bit better idea of what you're planning or thinking of doing. And I'm hesitant because when I see $50,000 for a study, well, that doesn't seem like much. $200,000 for a study, that doesn't seem like much, but it does add up. But I did notice that after you're this far on the plan, there's one thing that would really help pedestrians downtown, and that's a public restroom. Has anybody thought of adding a public restroom? When it comes to that, you have. Well, good, because I was afraid you'd say, oh, that'd cost too much or it'd get vandalized. Because I volunteered for several years at the Bargain Box, and we do not have a public restroom, but, you know, that's one thing that we had to do. Also, the main complaint is parking. I didn't hear anybody complain about a truck or being afraid of a truck, but they don't like to walk. So who's going to walk this pedestrian corridor? Then I think you have a lot on your plate with transportation to the school, demolition of the schools, and what you already have isn't always maintained. And maybe Terry has an answer now, but I've asked a couple times about the deterioration of the trail along Scott Street. The border that looks like brick but isn't is crumbling. It's laying there. Yeah, you see it all the time. Right. There are weeds growing up between that and the trail. And another sore spot is the corner down by the popcorn stand. That's always full of trash. I drove by it tonight. It wasn't quite as bad. But these are things then that you have to maintain if you're going to make a corridor. So anyway, I wish you'd do something about the trail. Do you know, is anybody responsible for that, or?
We are still working on that one. We've talked to the concrete company. They're talking to some of their vendors. We're trying to find a solution to see what we can do to resolve that issue.
Okay. And then you mentioned a roundabout at Lincoln Street, Lincoln and 19th, I think. What does the city plan to do in relationship to the school? And transportation. Can we talk about that? Is that not
Actually, we
appropriate?
have to stay on task for the resolution of
okay.
revitalization.
Well, then I would just say that I'm against wasting any more money on the study because I don't see that it's needed. And if you do it, please put a restroom in it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Jane, whenever I get an answer, I haven't deleted your email yet. I promise you, I'll get back to you whenever we get that finally answered. Okay?
Thank you.
Anyone else?
name's Michael Sothen, Main Street, Beatrice. Our office is at 205 North 4th Street. I'm coming here today to represent Main Street, Beatrice, and the Main Street Board of Directors. Our statement is as simple as this. Main Street, Beatrice is supportive of the concepts submitted in this study, recognizing that this is not the final design. The project concept would transform the Court Street corridor, bringing a drastically improved aesthetic and people-focused design that is meant to complement the business community, supporting existing investment, and help attract future investments in residential development opportunities in the downtown area. This is still conceptual, and we do ask that the business community and Main Street Beatrice be involved in future discussions. And I'm going to provide you guys the full statement. It definitely goes into a lot further than that. But I think a lot of people have said some really good things here tonight. There are a lot of goals and ideas, aspirations for downtown that I think this plan helps us carry forward, from being a more pedestrian-friendly, but also providing the space for our businesses that are currently here to thrive, and certainly to provide future investments as well. There is no doubt, our downtown does impress a lot of people. It's got some awesome architecture. We've got some amazing businesses, but it's not everything that it could be or that we want it to be. This plan by itself certainly doesn't provide a miracle cure, but it does provide us an opportunity. It helps better set the tone for what our downtown can be. Right now, it's dominated by two major highways, and that brings both positives and negatives. Again, I think that what a lot of people have said here, and I appreciate you guys adding the words conceptual as well, and this design certainly is not without needs for improvement. There are areas that have already been brought up here tonight, so I won't bring a lot of those up. But as we've been talking to our business community, members of our just residents of our community, this is not the perfect plan. I think we also have to understand it probably never will be the absolute perfect plan. It's always going to leave something to be desired for somebody. But there is still room for improvement, and we definitely ask that the business community be included in that. We ask that Main Street Beatrice be included in that and our other partners. And I think, as we think about this as a conceptual, the idea of being able to slow down enough to include others, I think, is so key. As Senator said, without community support, our downtown and a lot of the things that we're after really aren't there. But I think there's a lot of positives, and we are supportive of this concept. I'll provide you guys with this document, which we'll definitely share more. So far, over the last few weeks, but certainly even longer than that, it's about even on those that are really in favor of this concept and those that are really against the concept. But we have a really large number of people that are in the middle. Most of them are pretty cautiously optimistic from what we've heard. There are certainly those that have reached out to us that are leaning towards no as well. So we see the entire spectrum. And I think that really goes to share that we do need to communicate more about this, both ourselves as Main Street and certainly the city of Beatrice, and that there is still enough uncertainty. Change is certainly uncertain, that if we put our minds to it and we continue to work through these potential challenges, this plan can really be positive and transformational. And with that, again, Main Street Beatrice is in support of this concept.
I've got a couple questions for you.
Yes, sir.
I've had 12, 13 calls from businesses, and I represent a big part.
You're one of those that represents almost all of downtown, yeah.
And every one of those businesses said they were never contacted. Now, you stated that you talked to businesses. How many businesses did you talk to?
So it's a great question, Rich.
I know I asked you.
Yeah. So we do try to get out. I've definitely, especially over this last few weeks, have been into quite a few businesses. The exact numbers, I don't have an exact count, but we have been trying to get into quite a few businesses, and this is certainly something that comes up. Have we talked to everybody? No, we haven't. We do try to send out emails on this. We have sent out several emails. We have well over 200 between business owners, property owners that are on that list. that we have certainly tried to share information both about the community meetings, and I know we've had a lot of business owners that have been there at those community meetings. We've certainly tried to use social media as well. And so, yes, have we been able to make it out and talk to everybody? No. Would I have liked to? Most certainly. But we've certainly tried to make sure that we're spreading the word. I know the city has certainly tried, local media, but it's not perfect. And so, no. As far as trying to get information out on what this concept is, that is another thing that, as it's gone through these different phases, is certainly something we're going to continue to do, and is something that we have been trying to make sure that there was information about tonight's meeting and what this plan is that's before you guys.
Well, like I said, I've got, and quite a few of them are sitting out there that I recognize, and I think maybe we better, you guys and us should do a little bit better job
Agreed.
of entertaining with our businesses, because it's their livelihood that we're putting on.
100% agree. And certainly if any business, especially at a minimum, if they are not getting our emails, that's the quickest and easiest way. We have 185 businesses downtown. That doesn't count the property owners as well. And so it's a tall task to try to reach everybody. And so if anyone is not getting any of our communications, we certainly hope they'll reach out, because we need to correct that.
Yes, we do.
Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hello.
Good evening. My name's John Rosenthal. I live at 104 South 21st, and I own the shop down at 105 South 3rd Street, which is downtown Beatrice. I'm not going to talk about the roundabouts, because it's, whether you like them or not is another thing. I think the big problem here is not so much about improving downtown. We all think downtown can be improved. Even I do. And for those of you that don't know, which most of you do, your plan as it lays takes out my building. You eliminate my businesses. I run 3 businesses out of that little shop. It was just a few years ago that I moved down there. And as some people have said, you guys sit up here like, oh, we're not worried about what's going on. We already know how we're voting. This stuff is through. That's the problem people of Beatrice have. The problem is we keep getting stuff shoved down our throats. They did it with the school. It was voted down twice, went through anyways. This downtown thing, it's been looked at before. Did not have support. We're looking at it again. There's support to improve downtown. Moving the highway, spending millions and millions of dollars is not the answer that most of us are looking for, and I can about guarantee that without taking a poll. I could ask for a show of hands, and I think all of you know the majority back here are not in support of how this is going. So when you get ready to vote, your votes should represent that. It shouldn't be 7 or however many are voting to none. That's not representing the community that you guys were all asked to represent. That's what we want. We want to be represented fairly. And you guys aren't doing that on many of these big name things. And that's what frustrates most of us. We want to be represented, and no one's doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Evening. Ashley Mason, 1300 Lincoln Street. I first want to address everyone that's here, so I'm just going to turn around. You guys are all upset that they're not listening to you. The last election, you had other options. The next time the election comes up, if these men are not representing you, vote for someone else. Replace them. Gentlemen, they're being very clear. They want you to vote the way they are asking you to. They don't like this plan. They're asking you to be transparent. They're asking you to be clear and to listen to them. You did a very poor job of bringing this plan forward. You said, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions at 2 separate meetings. Those thoughts and opinions were given, and they were not conveyed. And now you want us to encourage you to vote on something when you weren't listening? And you stand up here or sit up here looking puzzled and confused on why 3 people came up and said they supported you? Think. They want accurate representation of their votes. And you are all capable of doing that. You can all make a difference here. I am the last one, and all of you know that, to encourage you to spend more money. I don't think there's ever been a time when I've said this board needs to spend more money. But you've spent the money, you spent it poorly. You need to drop these plans, reconvene, and possibly spend money again to come up with a better concept. But don't vote on this one. Don't vote on the idea of this concept. These people's lives depend on it. And you are scaring them. No government official should ever sit here and scare their constituents. They're upset and they're hurt, and every one of you is responsible for that. Rich, you're confused on why social media is out there. It's here. Accept it. Your city administrator has approved things to be posted that encouraged that this was the master plan, that this is what was happening. If you felt differently about it, it should have come down sooner, before tonight. It should have been made clear before tonight, even at your guys' open house meetings. You guys implied that this is the plan you wanted. Many of you did. I was at both of them. I've read the social media posts. I've seen what Tim Fralin has to say. And in many areas, I agree with him. And I agree with you, Rich, that this should be a concept, and Dwayne. But I'm disappointed in all of you and how you're handling this. And I strongly encourage every citizen to remember tonight and your guys' actions and the way that you vote before they vote in another election. Because this is typical of all of you, to vote the way you want and not the way the constituents are demanding that you vote.
Thank you.
Craig Zarbonecki, 713 1/2 East Court Street. My wife and I, we own 2 properties in this corridor that would be affected by this. I also work in real estate, as many of you know. I get nervous doing this, so I'll probably crack.
Deep breath.
So, first of all, in real estate, when I show properties downtown, the biggest concern is always parking. You know, where do we park? If there is parking, is our door going to get ripped off, as we're getting out? So I know that is a concern of the community. As mentioned previously, there have been many studies done on ways to improve this community. I've lived here my whole life. Downtown is something that keeps coming up. Moving the highway is part of that. I think we've got at least 4 previous studies from people outside of the community that tell us that this is a good idea. So far, we've chosen not to do that. I think we can see that that's not changing downtown. Right now, those buildings, those properties are struggling. So I think we need to look at some way of enhancing downtown, whether it be this plan or another when the engineers get into doing the actual concept. But I think taking no action doesn't do anything but put this off for another generation. While I support this concept, I also share many of the same concerns as people back here. We have to do it right. This is something that's going to affect the community for generations, maybe forever. So while we do this, we just need to take our time, do it right, and do it in a way that positively impacts our community. I think it has the potential to be very positive and change the perception of Beatrice. That's all I've got.
Thank you. And you did just fine. Okay. Turn it back to, got one more.
My name's Kim Witolski, 1504 South 5th Avenue in Beatrice. I wasn't planning on speaking this evening, so I've got some scribble notes here. I represent Clean Slate Soap at 813 Court. A lot of the speakers were representing the west end of Court Street. We're at the east end. We have a completely renovated building from top to bottom, and I do mean roof to sidewalk. We have 3 viable businesses in there. We are not struggling. I think it was mentioned earlier that the businesses are struggling downtown. They're not struggling. Clean Slate Soap has been represented on Pure Nebraska. We've been on the Nebraska Passport. We brought in over 3,000 customers year before last with the Passport from 9 different states. We're not struggling. If you go forward with this concept, you'll take out our building and you'll take out 3 businesses that are doing very well. I have to disagree with Michael Sothen, who said that they've been talking to businesses. They did not talk to us. They have sent emails. That's not coming in and talking to the business owner. So I would have to disagree with that. This proposed concept does not support existing businesses. And I haven't seen any of you in my store. So if you really want to see what we have, come and see us. Come talk to us. Come in our front door because you don't know what we have inside there. I feel like this will tear up the roads. I have had no customers in our 4 years of being there that complain about their door being taken off coming in my store. They park in front of my store. They park across the street on Court Street in front of Family Dollar, and they come into our store. They don't have any concerns about their door being taken off. So I'm just asking that you go forward with a new concept that keeps the current businesses that are asking you to keep us in business. I do believe that Kate had a good proposal about rerouting the trucks, but I don't think we have to go to the extent of taking out 9, 10, 11 businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Havacost. I live at 430 North 33rd Street. I have a business on the edge of downtown at 9th Court. I came to see more what was going on rather than to come talk, but after I got here, I decided to right at the end. I went to the other meeting that was at the city auditorium to look at things, and I walked away from that thinking this is going to affect significantly the downtown businesses that require or rely on foot traffic. And I thought of Ray and Kate's place, because I have gone there frequently in the past and I've enjoyed going there. I enjoy traveling and going through small towns and stopping at small businesses and dining there. And the reason I go by that spot is I see it. And so rerouting the traffic to the south block, that does affect their business quite a bit. When you close down both ends to work on it for a year, we looked at what COVID did to many small businesses when they didn't have a lot of extra activity coming through their doors, and it really damaged them. So the thought from the gentleman, I'm not sure what his name was, who drives the truck, I was impressed. He's been there, he's done that, he's seen what roundabouts do. I think, Tobias, you said a roundabout costs about $1 million a piece, is that right?
Roughly.
Yeah, so we got $2 million there that we could spend on a parking garage or extra parking in those areas. We could reroute truck traffic to the south a block and maybe even to the north a block. So we have the truck traffic out of the downtown area and maybe do something with the streets so there's better parking there. I think with roundabouts, I think there's like 100-foot radius, so 200 feet around that is what you will take the businesses out in that regard. So that would be really challenging. So I would vote against this concept right here. I would come back and say, if we have a different idea of rerouting the truck traffic, I think that would be great. But I think you need to keep the slower traffic going through the downtown for the businesses of the downtown. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Ron Menzel. I live at 219 Florence Avenue. I've owned businesses on Court Street for 25 years and have a building there. I spend a portion of 6 days a week downtown on Court Street. I see the trucks and the cars go by, and I see the pedestrians go by. I'm looking at the window a lot at my age, but there really isn't a lot of traffic downtown. You can go to a lot of cities to find a whole lot more traffic than what we have, and that's both cars, trucks, and pedestrians. I've been in the trucking business for 50 years, and I still operate trucks throughout the country. Also involved with a dump truck company similar to the gentleman that spoke earlier about driving dump trucks. He did a great job. So I won't repeat what he said, but the truck route, there could be a real truck route here, and I've observed it all these years being here, and before my years in management and ownership, I did start the business driving a truck. So, instead of $2 million for roundabouts, a few well-placed signs and well-thought-out truck route could probably handle that for not very much money at all. Lots of other cities do that. The other thing about real estate is the less traffic you have, the least it is worth, usually in most markets. So I understand Kate Radigan having concerns and the rail about having access and traffic by their businesses. The less people that see you, the less people that are going to come by. A lot of people shoot off on Market Street and won't even know that there's a Sunrise Bakery downtown that makes really good rolls and stuff. But I've been in retail. I had a computer store in downtown Beatrice several years ago in a building, and I've operated about 4 or 5 trucking companies and truck shops in the last 25 years here in Beatrice. And so the downtown, the problem with downtown started when Walmart came in. Walmart, we need them, right? But it did affect our downtown. It wasn't because the trucks are driving through town. There's many times, if you guys want to come down on Court Street and join me sometime, we can actually watch the traffic go by. There's darn few trucks that actually go through there. And unfortunately, there's darn few cars that go through there. And the only time people are downtown, for the most part, is when the Bargain Box gets new stuff on Thursday morning. Otherwise, there's no one walking around. You guys ain't walking around down there. I don't see you guys down there, and I'm down there 6 days a week. So I'm just stating it as is. I hate politics. You haven't seen me here before, and I kind of try to stay out of it. But I own a building downtown, and I had it came recently empty again. I was getting a whole screaming $400 a month for it for the last couple of years. The county thinks my $40,000 building is worth $108,000 now. So that's not our problem, but if we're going to tax the people to death downtown, has anybody took a survey of the people downtown, what they really want or think or whatever about it? I didn't fill one out, I know that. The Main Street organization, I'll give them credit for they try to put a lipstick on a pig down here, but the facts are we don't have the businesses to support pedestrian traffic. You can only go to the secondhand store so many times a week. We don't really, if it weren't for Sunrise Bakery, I don't know what we'd do down there. The Black Crows down, they're a couple blocks down from me, so I don't get to see them that much as far as the traffic. But when I have, there's times that I'll walk from my business at 513 Court, and I'll walk down to the rail for lunch, and I'm the only one on the street all the way down there and all the way back. And that's lunchtime. So what businesses do you hope to attract to downtown Beatrice that'll possibly pay more than $400 a month so we can give it all for taxes and insurance and not even have that?
Okay, I got one more gentleman I got to get up here yet.
Okay. Well, anyway, I guess I'd say no to this concept. And if there's a future concept that would include a economical truck route, that'd be great. And please, no trees downtown. Lincoln had them when I was a kid. They took them all out because the birds did something on the sidewalks all the time. So keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't want a tree in front of my building.
David Lang, out-of-towner. I'm at 400 E Street in Fairbury. I'm property owner for 411 and 409 Court Street. I'm very thankful that I've got a commercial tenant, and that's basically because we've got the vehicular count. So by rerouting that, I would have some concerns with my feasibility as a landlord to continue that rental income, and if we did reroute it, I'd probably look at seeing if we could change zoning laws to allow residential, which I don't think is ideal for the main floors. So I do have residential downtown as well. I think for my upstairs tenant, this would be fine, but he's also not a business. Not to mention the birds with trees. Another thing with the trees, it would be visual obstructions to our buildings, to our signage, and then also perpetual maintenance. In front of my downtown building where I live in Fairbury, we've got some of those things that were planted, well-intended, but then never maintained to a point where there was one year I just took my mower out and then took out the stuff that attracted garbage and put mulch down, and now it's fine. But anyway, so just a couple concerns there. I'd say vote no. Also fiscally, there's a lot of money that would be spent moving forward with this concept, money that could be used on sidewalks. So, something other. Why not repair rather than replace kind of standpoint? I think that's all. Thank you.
All right. Okay, well, I know if you count. Okay, last one. Go ahead.
Real short.
All right.
Aaron Schoen, rural Philly. I own a couple properties downtown. The things I wanted to point out is, everyone's talking about the truck route. If you guys would actually follow your plan with the Department of Transportation and have your signs where they're supposed to be, that might fix a lot of your problem. The other thing I wanted to point out is You know, if I bought something 10 years ago and then I paid another massive amount of money and got the same product 10 years later, I sure would be a little upset. I know we don't need professional services bid out, but don't you think somebody else might have a better idea? We brought our ideas to them and they came back with the exact same thing, made no inputs from what we all said, and just produced the same thing that was produced 10 years ago. I mean, I'd feel a little like it's a bad use of your money. I'm not saying that downtown don't need improvement, but I would look at maybe getting second opinions.
All right, we'll move it up here one last few minutes.
I've got a couple of questions, Bob.
All right.
I was taken aback when Kate mentioned that there was a Market one-way and a Ella one-way. Was this ever discussed with Olsson?
Yes.
And what came of it? I think that's kind of a pretty good idea. I was never informed of it.
Yes, the engineers at Olson's looked at it, and they said that was probably not the most feasible plan moving forward.
I was never told that was an option. And the young man that the truck, John, wasn't it? Yes, sir. Yeah. He brought up a deal about putting in a tonnage limit on downtown Beatrice. And could we enforce that? I know we can't enforce the truck route. Can we enforce a tonnage route from 8th to...
I would have to check with the Department of Transportation if they would allow a tonnage route on a U.S. highway. I don't know the answer for that one off the top of my head.
Well, it was a good good idea. Go ahead. Thank you, John.
I just want to say I've been through. John Charles Fisher, 702 South 3rd. Yes, Councilman Kerr, the city can enforce traffic laws. I have seen the Department of Roads put in tonnage restrictions on U.S. highways. And I mean, it's kind of a sticky subject, but the problem also comes down to it puts a tax on the police department and making, having the police department enforce it. The county sheriff could enforce it as well. And I'll tell you right now, I know DOT loves to grab up trucks that violate, weight restricted routes. I mean, I think just the cost saving alone, a sign is cheap. I used to put them in for a living. I worked traffic control management for DP Sawyer Barricades years ago. Signs are cheap to put in, they're cheap to maintain, and they are enforceable. And I'm sure that the Department of Transportation would allow a weight limit on a U.S. highway. Especially if you bring it to them and say, if we were to move the truck traffic off of 136, move it one block south and one block north, what we already have is existing truck routes, which they've already obviously approved in the past. I mean, that improves the safety aspect, because a truck takes 300 feet. By law, they have to stop within 300 feet when they're fully loaded. Rock trucks running through downtown Beatrice, if they're loaded, they're running at 95,000 pound state legal limit. So the safety aspect of that alone, I think would very well mitigate the cost aspect. And then the enforcement. Once a couple trucks get enforced, I can tell you from driving down the road every day, when there's a cop sitting there watching for you, that channel 19 don't stop. So I think that along with better signage, as the one gentleman pointed out, put in better signage, put in a weight limit or even a length limit. I don't even know if you have to get state approval to put in a length limit in downtown, because I'm sure that the jurisdiction in downtown falls on the city. Put in a length limit, say 51 feet and over, must turn off at 3rd Street to go to Market, or turn off at 7th to go up to Ella and follow the truck route. Problem solved, a heck of a lot cheaper than $15 million after the whole project is done, $10 million to the state to reroute the highway, and $4.5 million to do the conceptual design. A lot cheaper. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have much to add. I just say that anything with the school bond and that thing that happened is probably best taken up with the school board. And Ron, about your taxes downtown, I defended some protests for that quite successfully, and you're right. Come and see me next year.
You know, a lot of people are talking about the roundabouts and the truck route. Not too much discussion was done about what was going to happen on Main Street itself. This concept plan is showing that, you know, getting rid of some of the parallel parking, have parallel parking on the south, have angle parking on the north side of the street, which will add more parking stalls for people. It'll help the elderly that don't like the parallel park. And I'm getting to that point where I don't like the parallel park. But it also helped for people with kids to help them get in and out of the cars a little bit easier and things like this. So we're going to add, this plan would add more parking downtown. So to give more businesses, you know, a little bit more opportunity for people to park close to their businesses so they don't have to walk so far. So it's not just about, you know, moving the truck route, making the truck route, things like this. And there is some concerns, you know, you bring up about how it's going to affect some businesses. Well, we're looking at that. I'm very much looking at this myself. I don't want to affect some business and put them out of business. I don't want them to, like with the rail, I don't want that to happen to where they don't have an access off of Court Street. You know, I won't vote for that. Again, Beatrice Iron and Metal, they put a cul-de-sac there. Its plan shows a cul-de-sac. No, it's got to be 3rd Street's got to go through, you know. I mean, those are things that we have to look at. So, I mean, and everybody says vote against this. Well, what we're trying to do tonight is vote to go forward and plan. It's not going to be the final plan, and it might not, you know, it might fizzle. But what we're voting for is to go ahead and look at this seriously and see what can be done to help businesses downtown, not put businesses out of business. I'm totally against that. But how we can improve the parking downtown, the aspect of, you know, pedestrian friendly, things like this, trying to get the truck traffic off, whether we leave the truck routes, you know, on the 2 streets, that's fine with me. I don't care. You know, but we need to get the trucks off of downtown. And that's the main point we're trying to do here. So when you say vote against the concept, well, this is what we're doing is we want to take this forward and start planning and looking at it. Whether it actually will happen and it will become reality, who knows? But it's going to be a lot of years down the road, and we will have, I'm hoping, I shouldn't say that, but I'm in favor of having more public meetings that we have, showing designs, getting more input, and trying to figure this out. This tonight has been great on both sides. But, you know, we need to go forward, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to vote yes tonight because I want to go forward and looking at the plans. I don't want the thing to die. I want it to look at what we're going to do in the future and how we can go forward. And if, you know, eventually, maybe it will die. But as a council, you know, we need to look at the future and see, you know, what's going on in the future. I mean, I probably won't be around, you know, I probably won't be on the council, you know, when this thing's done, you know, I don't know. But, you know, I'm up there pretty much, and there's only like 1 or 2 older than I am here, so anyway. But so anyway, so I'm going to tell you, you know, my vote is going to be yes because I want to go forward and try to see some more of this happening and try to improve downtown Beatrice. That's what I want to see. I want to see this happen. I want to make it look nice. I want to, you know, and get more parking and make it more pedestrian friendly. Get the trucks off of there. I had the other day, and you said I don't walk, you know, people don't walk downtown. I do walk downtown. I looked. I was walking downtown, had 2 semis. I watched them run the stoplight at 4th Street and 5th Street. There was no traffic. Both of them ran red lights, but they stopped at 6th. But both of them ran right through red lights. So don't tell me they're following things. Now, if we get this bypass, they'll have one stoplight. Now, if they go down 136, they have 5 stoplights. The only stoplight to be on the round, with the bypass would be at 6th and Market. Or if they go the other way, if we keep it, it'd be at 6th and Ella. But get them off of Court Street. It'd be faster for them to go through and everything now. But we do not want to affect existing businesses if we can avoid it. We want to try to not do that. And that's, where I am. So I just want to let you know my vote tonight will be yes on it. But I want to go forward to try to make this work and make it downtown more pedestrian friendly and more positive for businesses.
I'll be really quick. A lot of what Councilman Rue is absolutely correct. Remember, this is just a concept, a plan, so we can look what the forward-thinking project could be. Katie and I know Tyler's back there and John and with the businesses right between 2nd and 3rd. I'll tell you, I addressed that concern at the other meeting. That's the best part of people coming to the meeting is to hear the concerns. It's not just falling off to the side, we're gonna vote for it, approve it, and it's a done deal. Everybody's gonna there'll be more community meetings, it's gonna happen. I really appreciate your information, John, on the trucking. Thank you for coming up. The whole concept of improving downtown is to improve the existing businesses and bring in more investment into downtown. It's not to hurt or penalize anybody by any means. So as we go forward with these community meetings and working with the chamber and Main Street Beatrice and everything else, the business owners need to be there. The citizens of Beatrice need to be there and talk. Waiting till the last minute doesn't help anybody. So make sure you're involved, be a part of the plan, not the problem. That's it.
Okay, anybody on the council? Yep.
I'm going to be quite honest with you. I'm a little upset with this Market Nella one-ways not being brought. I knew nothing of that. Wasn't discussed with us, or me anyway, and the tonnage deal with the idea. Now, if you guys remember right here about 3-4 meetings ago, I made a statement that a guide came down through Beatrice, and we've been doing these facades and the money to revitalize and make our businesses look better. That has been a beautiful program, and I've had comments on it. And you guys aren't going to like it, but I'm going to be the lone vote no probably on this one, because I just don't like the fact that this was not brought up. That this was the only concept that I got handed.
Okay.
Real quick, I'd like to, the thing is this is why we want to discuss it. We want to take it forward and discuss whether we're going to keep, Market or keep Market and Ella one-ways, and those be the truck routes. I mean, we're not saying like tonight that Market's it.
After the fact that this concept come out,
Yeah.
is
This-
when I found out about it.
Yeah, but I'm saying right now, that's why I'm saying we're going to be discussing it, because nothing is set in stone here. We're
But
going.
we're going to be spending money on that plan. And I think that we should have had a little bit more information on this concept before we went forward with it. Like I said, I know it's going to pass, but I believe I'm going to be the lone no vote on this.
Bob,
And that's my reason.
Tobias, was this on any previous plans we saw?
What's that?
The Market Street thing that Rich has talked about, wasn't it on there before?
Again, we've talked about it since 2011, when we did that downtown revitalization plan.
I thought so.
But was it you discussed this with Olson's for this concept that we've got now? It was brought up, apparently they said at the meetings, I wasn't at either one of those meetings, I had a little problem health-wise. And it was brought up at those meetings, but it was never, you said you brought it up to Olson's, and why wasn't it brought to us, where we could help make a decision on it?
The study that we had, that you retained Olson's for this time was to review the Court Street corridor. And so in that is what they focused on this particular study. That's why you see all of the drawings have to do with how to beautify Court Street if the highway is moved.
All right. Gentlemen, your vote, please. So that would be 6-1. Councilman Kerr voting no. Okay. Item F, resolution number 7107, adopting the concept design for Ellis Street as recommended by the Downtown Committee.
I move the resolution number 7107 be passed and adopted.
Second.
All right.
So you guys, this is a little bit redundant, but we discussed improving Ellis Street at the last council meeting, I believe. And we have this $400,000 grant that we need to decide how we're going to spend the money next year. And so we looked at discussing market or discussing court, and obviously we didn't know whether this plan would be approved or not, so we passed that on and looked more at Ellis Street. And what we'd like to recommend to you as a committee is that you consider this resolution, adopting this resolution so that we can start improving both, the streets between 4th and 6th Street on Ella. And I think all of you have diagrams that for the last 2 weeks or something to look at to do that.
And on the committee, we kind of looked at mirroring what Court Street will look like, so the bump outs, the design, the diagonal parking along the north side, and narrowing that street up from 3 lanes to 2 lanes to help show what we're going to plan for Court Street. And we thought for safety for the crossings for the kids, instead of being a 3-lane, it'll be narrower, it'll be 2 lanes wide, maybe a little safer for the kids getting to the school, I think, Terry.
Yeah, we maybe beat this word to death, but it's conceptual again.
Yeah.
And we don't know if our city engineer will have the time. Hopefully he'll have the time to go ahead and design it for us. If not, we're going to have to get some people to design it for us. So just know that up front.
And there is a time limit on this grant, I believe. Right, Tobias?
Correct.
What's the timeline?
I believe we have to have the money spent by the end of '25. I'd have to verify that, but I believe that's the answer.
Yep. So if we do this and vote for this part of it, should we decide later on to reroute the truck routes down Ella and Market, we would not be able to do that with this design, correct?
No, you still could. We have left the intersection of 6th and Court Street alone to make sure we can accommodate truck traffic today. And in the future, if necessary, it simply would take the street from being 3 lanes to 2 lanes on the rest of the sections. But truck traffic would still be able to traverse this.
There'll still be 2 lanes.
Mm-hmm.
Other discussion from the council? From the public?
Again, Aaron Schoen, rural Philly. I own property on Ellis Street. Actually, I'm for this one. Mostly because we actually have 2 more stores going to be coming to Ellis Street here in the very near future. Right now, especially on pool nights, parking is horrible. My biggest concern is please don't shut down all of our traffic during construction. I think if you can do it in sections and not shut down everything, I mean, that will help the businesses there. But one other thing where you guys screwed up on 5th, I'm not going to be watering all those flowers in that big flower pot. So you better figure out a watering system.
When we get pictures, the Court Street is, the 5th Street's the one not to do. That's our.
Yeah, that's the not to do project.
That's the not to do project, yes.
I'm not watering those flowers.
Trust me, because I have them right out front my front door, so.
Rich is retired. He will water them.
Yeah.
I hope you have a wide enough.
Rich won't be around forever, though.
Well, Ted had me dying last week anyway, so.
So that's all I got.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, your vote, please. That passes 7-0. All right, move on to ordinances. We have an ordinance amending section 17-111 regarding the carrying of concealed weapons.
I move that said ordinance be given number 23-21, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
There's no discussion. Gentlemen, your vote, please. And that passes 7-0.
I move that ordinance number 23-21 be passed and approved.
Second.
Yep. So I would say that we pass ordinance number 2321 by number the first time, by number the second time, and by one the third and final time.
Sorry, Bob.
That's all right.
I got ahead of you.
No problem.
I move that ordinance number 23-21 be passed and approved.
Second.
So the state legislature in their last session made some changes at the state level, basically indicating that you can carry a concealed handgun. That's now legal in the state of Nebraska, and indicated that anybody that had a city ordinance in opposition to that was now void. And so we are bringing for you to amend our city code regarding carrying of concealed weapons. It removes a handgun from that definition pursuant to state law. It's still illegal to carry knives and some of those other types of weapons and as a concealed carry type of weapon, but this would eliminate the handguns pursuant to the state law that was passed here within the last legislative session.
Any discussion from the public?
What I just want, when it was a pistol, we'll just use pistol, was it a misdemeanor at that time to have a concealed weapon, or was it a felony?
Misdemeanor.
Okay, I just want to make sure it stayed the same. Okay.
Okay. Your vote, please. And that passes 7-1. 7-0. Or 7-0. All right. Item 6, public forum. The purpose of public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public to the city council for consideration at a later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the city council this time. Anyone here for the public forum?
John Charles Fisher, 702 South 3rd Street here in Beatrice. I know you guys are going to get tired of seeing me probably. First time here, so.
No problem.
Just a couple of concerns I wanted to bring up. I know at the last council, or a couple of council meetings ago, you guys formed committees, one of which regarding nuisance properties. I know that you guys have been busy with writing notices for the lawns. You know, if your lawn is more than even a quarter inch over what the city ordinance allows, I mean, I know people have gotten notices the day after. My brother-in-law being one of them. I've had the city come on my property and say that I had an unlicensed boat trailer because I hadn't affixed the license plate to the liking of the city. But I could prove that I had a license for the boat trailer, not a problem. However, 624 South 3rd Street, the property next door to the two properties that me and my partner own, that has been a veritable junkyard since at least the day we've moved in, which was 2015, 2016. There was a house on the property, I think probably 10 or 15 years ago that burnt down. The property got changed hands a couple of times, and whoever owns the property now, there are 2 vehicles on that property that haven't moved in at least probably 3 or 4 years. There's a camper shell that has been sitting there for at least the last year and a half, 2 years. A bunch of tree limbs, a bunch of debris, trash, all sorts of it. He's gotten notices from the city before. He's gone down, moved a couple of things, moved it from one spot to, I think he owns another couple spots along 6th Street. And city comes down, okay, you're good to go. Well, then it just turns back into a junkyard. Trust me, me and my family have offered the guy 10 times what that property is worth, and he won't sell it for whatever reason. The city is allowed by law after, I can't remember, is it 2 or 3 times of sending out a notice that you guys can start court proceedings and then have a company come in and clean the property and then charge the property owner for it. We'd really like to see that done. I'm tired of looking at it. I'm tired of that junk tree in that yard dropping leaves or dropping branches on my second house that we own next door every time a storm comes in. Tired of stuff being thrown in my yard and having to go over and throw it back in his yard. You know, I know there's other properties around the city, I'm sure, that are within or not within compliance of this code. I'd like to see the city step up more. We're talking about making our city better and making our city more beautiful. Why are we so worried about grass when, especially here lately, we haven't really been able to mow? I can tell you for just this evening before coming over here, had to mow the 2 backyards of our houses, and that was a challenge. The grass was so dang wet, and it was so tall because we couldn't get out there to mow it. The mower died about 4 or 5 times because it got so clogged up. So, also, I heard a mention that you guys are considering, looking at the race car permits and hobbyist car permits. I would encourage, and I believe it would be in this city's best interest to leave the race car permits alone. I mean, racing is a big part of this city. And I mean, this was a lot of people here tonight for a conceptual master plan. Imagine how many people you're going to have. You're going to have a line out the building and around
I
the
don't have to imagine I was here when we put that in.
Yeah. Well, no, if you go to take the race car permit out, I mean, people are going to be lined up down 6 all the way to court just to speak because, I mean, it's a big industry in this town. So I would encourage leaving that one alone. Also, another part of downtown is the cats. I don't know how many of you guys come into South Downtown area, down by the co-op, down by the scrap iron facility and all that. There are cats everywhere. And I mean, I have to check out my back door before I go out in the morning to take my dogs out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning before I go to work because the stray cats, they don't care. I've had them attack my dogs. And I brought it up to the Humane Society, and I've seen it on Facebook where the Humane Society basically says leave them alone. That they're looking at it. They're looking at the issue. Cats carry diseases. They crawl under houses. They crawl under porches. They defecate everywhere. They have kittens. They have litters. Raccoons get attracted by them. They fight with raccoons. They have mange. They have all sorts of nastiness. I'd like to see the city do something to clean up the area and relocate these stray cats. Not kill them. They don't need to be killed. They're animals. They're doing what they're intended to do. But relocate them. I've seen other cities in the state of Nebraska that have taken stray cats and relocated them to barns as worker cats to help keep mice out of barns. And that could be done, I'm sure, at a very reasonable cost. And I would be more than happy to donate tax dollars to pay for that program because it would help to beautify my area of town. So I just would like to, I'd like to thank you guys for allowing us this is a long meeting. I appreciate you guys hanging in there and especially listening to me. And Councilman Kerr, I do want to say thank you for voting no on that. I appreciate somebody that's willing to actually take the time to take a second look at things. Thank you.
All right, we will move on to discussions and reports. We'll start off with Engage Quarterly Report.
Thank you. Better make it fast.
Thank you. 600 block. Thank you, dear.
Good evening, Councilman, Mr. Mayor. I have to present our 4th quarterly report for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. So on the front, you'll see obviously our mission statement, what we do, and our current strategic goals. So those have been updated and approved by the Engage board. A couple of the things that we've been up to over the last 3 months or so, give or take, is we have been actively out surveying businesses, doing our annual BRE visits, so business retention and expansion visits. Those have highlighted and supported the need to have the strategic initiatives that we have on the front page. And one thing I really want to focus on and highlight today is the very last page in your packet. that talks about some of the businesses surveyed and the greatest challenges that they have in expanding are, as you well know, there are lots of businesses interested, eager, and currently expanding in Beatrice as well as Gage County. And more would like to, but these are some of the challenges that they currently face. So the top 5 answers that businesses we surveyed said are labor attraction, so access to quality workers, applicants that have soft skills, job-specific skills, and critical thinking, those types of things. Quality of life, which more specifically housing was the second. Access to sufficient workers, so that labor pool is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, so they have fewer applicants to choose from. Another quality of life metric was community amenities, so entertainment, schools, restaurants, etc. were noted in there. That came in as number 4. And another quality of life piece, childcare. So I just wanted to share that these responses from businesses that were surveyed directly support the initiatives that Engage is currently going after now. So with that being said, some of the initiatives and activities that we have going on that you'll see highlighted in your packet is the relaunch of the Young Professionals Group. So that is a group geared towards 18 to 40-year-olds to help get them connected and engaged in the community. If they know who each other are, they're more likely to establish those roots and things like that. So we definitely encourage and are working with businesses to support their young professionals in participating and joining as a member of this group and getting connected. There's professional development opportunities, networking opportunities, and things like that for students or for young professionals to do. We have also hired in the childcare aspect, we have hired a contract employee to work under some of the childcare grants that we have. Currently, we're operating 3 separate grants, and we have Dean Evelson, who's actually present here today, working on the preschool development grant. So that's working directly with current providers that we have in the county to increase their professional development and training opportunities. So it's kind of a support to them to ensure that they can keep doing what they do because it is a critical piece of our communities. So with that, I will just open it up to any questions, as you all have had a very long night already.
I know you've put a lot of emphasis on childcare. Do you think you're gaining a little bit in that area, finding more spots and increasing?
Yes. So we have, with not only the work that the C4K initiative has done thus far in my 1 year, I have reached 1 year at Engage. It went fast. But we have a couple providers that have already increased by about 84 spots. However, it is a challenging industry to work in with short staff and things like that, low pay, hard to retain employees. So we've had several providers close their doors during that time. So it's kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But we do have constant conversations happening with other providers and actually recruiting providers to come into the area and open in-home childcare center or childcare homes or centers.
Yeah, very good. I know it's very vital that we provide that, so it's never go away.
Yes. Any other questions?
Rachel, have we invited councilmen to the 2 or 3 meetings that are coming up here pretty quick?
So are you talking about the C4K Launch and Learn event? So in your
Or Mark?
What's that?
Or Mark Perna?
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Also in your packet, which you all will get an invite to, is we are hosting a C4K Launch and Learn. We have a panel of speakers, so it's going to be kind of, think of like a business after hours type setting. Come, you can, have a cup of tea, water, some appetizers. We will at 5:30 on August 29th. It'll be at Vintage Venue. Have a panel of 5 speakers. So we'll have somebody with First Time Nebraska, New Nebraska Children and Families Foundation, Blue Valley Community Action. Senator Dorn will also be on the panel as well to kind of talk about the state of childcare from a broader perspective, but also narrow it down to what's happening in Gage County and Beatrice specifically, and really what's being done at a state level as well as a local level to fix or come up with a local solution that works best for us. So again, August 29th, from 5 to 7 at Vintage Venue. That panel will start about 5:30, so I would highly encourage you all to come. There is going to be an opportunity to ask questions of these subject matter experts and kind of what's happening and what might be a better solution for our area. The other event that Engage is going to be hosting in tackling the workforce development and retention of employees, how do we attract new employees, that type of thing. We have secured Mark Perna, who is a nationally known speaker and a writer for Forbes. He has kind of a different take on how to retain and attract students, but also educate students for different types of careers. So his model is not so much the college for all mentality, but a career for all mentality. And going about that, even through the education system, is different.